Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, I am chatting with a panel of our amazing participants inside the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program. We have a truly global representation on this call, with Carly joining from Graded American School in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Ashley and Becca, both from Phoenixville School District in Pennsylvania, US, Sharon joining from the International School Tallinn in Latvia, and Ian from the Anglo-American School Moscow in Russia. This spotlight gives us a peek at the kinds of challenges that coaches are facing when they choose to join the coach, plus some amazing aha moments and big takeaways they've had so far now that we're about halfway through the coach when we recorded this call. In the full-length podcast episode, we also chat about what coaching looks like in their individual schools and the real truth about transitioning into a coaching role that no one ever tells you. If you want a peek at the conversations and the community we build inside the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program, this episode is for you. If you want to hear the whole episode, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts. From the date that this episode goes live on Wednesday, the 9th of March, you will have 5 more days to join our 6th global cohort of the Coach. The Coach is the only certificate program that provides an entire academic year of professional learning designed specifically for K-12 instructional coaches within a global cohort model and the support of a mentor for the entire year. Inside the Coach, you will go from feeling overwhelmed and frustrated about all of your coaching responsibilities to calm, capable, and confident that you can handle any coaching situation that comes your way. You'll learn how to evaluate and then transform your coaching program from start to finish. Head over to edurolearning.com/coach to join. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Coach Better podcast. I am super excited to be here with a panel of my amazing participants who are inside the Coach Certificate and Mentorship Program right now. And today we're going to kind of talk about what it's like to be inside the coach, what it's like to be a coach, to transition into a coaching role, to be a learner as a coach, and kind of what you need to grow into the role of a coach. So thinking about all of your different coaching models and the ways that you got into your coaching position, what kinds of things, and we talked about this briefly right before the beginning of the call, what kinds of things were you struggling with, or what challenges did you have, moving into this role that prompted you to join the coach? What were the things that were your challenges? What were the things you were struggling with? And I think it's kind of working okay to kind of go back and forth from my little panel. So I'm going to start with Carly because you're on my screen now, and then I'll go back in the other direction.
Perfect. I'm glad that you actually asked me, because I think for me, even though I had been a classroom teacher for quite a long time and a literacy specialist in the States, I hadn't personally had a lot of experience being coached. So as I transitioned into the role, I thought about the fact that I needed experience having a sense of what it feels like to go through the coaching cycle and to be coached. I know it kind of sounds funny, but depending on which school I was at which time, there weren't always coaches there.
Definitely.
And so I immediately thought, I was really happy when I discovered Eduro Learning and the coach, and I thought, wow, this is perfect. And now, to be honest, I can't really imagine not having my own coach because the experience is just that rich. I think the opportunity to grow professionally is just, tenfold. So that's what appealed to me. I knew that if I were to coach other people, I needed to experience what that felt like.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for saying those kind words. Ashley, what about you? What prompted you to join, or what what did you like about it? What were you struggling with when you moved into this role? And I know you've had a couple different roles, so yeah.
Yeah. So I had been fortunate enough to work with district coaches in the previous district where I taught. So I knew how impactful coaching could be. I knew that I loved working with a coach, but my first job as building coach, I was creating that from the ground up. There hadn't been building coaches before. And then after just a year of that, I moved here as a K-12 instructional coach, where it was also a brand new coaching program, starting it from the ground up. And I did not have experience with doing that. So really creating a program that had a solid foundation, a solid structure, systems in place to help us build capacity in the program was really what I was struggling with, and getting that message out to teachers, helping teachers catch the vision, because they hadn't all had great experiences with a coach like I had. So that was really what drew me to Eduro Learning and the Coach, was having support and a framework to really build this program out.
And I'm having so much fun doing that with you. Like, I'm so glad that that's why you came in, because it's been great. Sharon, tell us a little bit about when you made the transition to the position that you're in now, and I know that you've had other positions that are either very similar, or almost identical. What was a struggle for you, and what made you look to the coach for a solution or moving forward?
I think it's always good when you're moving into a new school to keep in mind that it has its own unique evolutionary pathway, right? And I was lucky enough to work at a pretty highly functioning school for a few years, and even develop the coach program when I was there, and take cognitive coaching training and even advanced cognitive coaching training. I've been coached, I've been a coach. So, I knew the value of it. So when I actually applied for the job, that title was what really caught my eye. But it was a new title, a new role to the school. And after arriving here, I realized that there wasn't a, let's say, commonly shared agreement on what the coaching role was meant to be. They knew that they didn't want an EdTech director, I think is what I've kind of seen. But, the school's on, as I said, its own evolutionary pathway, and we're in the middle of COVID. So to be honest, I felt very isolated in being the only person in my school in a new country with that role. And I didn't know anyone else who had that role probably in the country. And I knew that Kim was doing this program. Kim and I go back maybe as much as 15 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was one of the ones actually that persuaded me to get into international teaching. So I checked out the program, and I thought, just for the network support, that's what I need right now. And I was returning into that role after being away for a few years. So it was really, for me, sort of a refresher, very much a support. And she has literally helped me keep my socio-emotional balance as I've been, in this situation of really trying to introduce this role. And then for me to be aware that the role actually has many facets to it, and not to be discouraged if it doesn't look like what it looked like at the previous place, but that there's a space here to grow the program in a way that is customized to this context. So that's what drew me to the program, and where I'm kind of at in my thinking of how I'd like to, establish a sort of culture of coaching here at the school.
Yes, that is so good to hear. That is awesome. And I think you are not alone. Obviously, so many international school teachers are moving from school to school, right? And so recognizing that every school is going to have that unique journey and that unique understanding or lack of understanding, depending on the situation of what coaching is, and having that outside perspective. I mean, even just listening to all of you talk about your roles and how different they are, and then what you needed when you started the coach, it's so clear that each of you has something unique going on in your context, and being able to have that outside pair of eyes, that outside perspective, that outside conversation and community that goes beyond the scope of just your school. That's really, that's such a good point. Becca, would you like to share a struggle or a challenge when you made the transition? Because you're the most recent, right? So when you made the transition from classroom to coaching, and how the coach is kind of supporting you with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I kind of reaped the benefits of the hard work and foundational work that Ashley put in to really put our program in place in our district. And coming in as a teacher, I felt really great in my teaching role. I knew I was a teacher leader. And then as soon as I jumped into the coaching role, I had to kind of find myself again. It was, who am I as a leader? Who am I as a coach in the district? And the imposter syndrome really hit hard and fierce. And I think working through the program and talking with you, Kim, really helped me identify what I was going through in that moment. And I feel like helped me work through it a lot quicker than had I just not been a part of the program and lost in those feelings. But I have found such value in having a coach mentor, being a part of this program. And I think that's really helping put me in a strong place as a brand new coach in our district and just coach in general.
Yes, that's also so good to hear. And your point about that imposter syndrome, I want to come back to that, not just imposter syndrome, but the transition from feeling confident in what you do in your classroom to moving into a coaching role. But I want to give Ian a chance to share his challenge or his struggle and how the coach is supporting him. And then I want to come back to that topic because I think that's like really important.
Right on. So I think my greatest challenge has already been addressed to some degree in a sense of, what the current climate and culture of coaching at the school is. And, the school, while being longstanding and been around for a long time, it really hasn't developed that culture at the upper division levels. And so it's really a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out what the identity wants to be for the program, what our vision for it is, and what the collective vision from the teachers is. And so I've spent the last year, I would say, just really trying to get a pulse on where we are now and where we need to be, where we could be, where we want to be, et cetera. And so I think that a lot like our friend in Latvia there was saying, you just have to kind of figure out what the pulse of the environment that you've walked into is, and then figure out, okay, how do we put the right conditions in place to grow the program and develop what we think is really going to move the institution forward, as well as student learning opportunities.
As our kind of final question for today's conversation, we are a little more than halfway through the program, and I just wanted to ask, what's been a big aha moment or a big takeaway or a learning or something you've been able to apply? What's been something that you are like, this was worth my time, or this was something that I have been able to implement, or this was something that surprised me. I didn't expect to learn this thing, anything kind of along those lines. And I'm going to put Ian on the spot because he's at the end of my little row. So now you know what order I'm going in. Ian, did you have a takeaway or a learning or a big idea or a practicality, something that you've taken from the coach thus far in the program that you would be willing to share with us?
Kim, three key words for me. Messy is okay. Right? Like I feel like we may never get to a point where the coaching is completely cyclic or it feels 100% purposeful. The messy works as long as we continue to use the coaching strategies and language in conversation and meaningful ways that are supporting all teaching and learning processes. I've often waited for the right conditions to exist to try and be like, aha, we're there. We're going to move this forward. And one of the things that working with the program here has helped me to realize is we may never get there. And that's absolutely okay, as long as we just continue to be repetitive and use consistent language and process that folks can rely upon.
Yes. Love it. Becca?
Oh, gosh. My biggest takeaway from the program so far really has come from our one-on-one conversations. And it's just, I came into this role and I was trying to fill someone else's shoes. So really working through how to not only figure out the role in its own, but kind of make it my own and really define who I am as a coach. And that's something that I am so thankful for and looking to continue to kind of develop along the rest of the journey in the program.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Sharon?
Gosh, I think it's almost a combination of what Ian and Becca said, in that understanding that having multiple roles, having, a different experience almost every day of what your role is trying to accomplish. It really resonates with me, as well as the fact that having that mentoring conversation just really saved my sanity and made me think, it's okay if it's not what it was in a previous iteration or context. And, but, it's the movement forward. And it really helped me from feeling very, very pessimistic and discouraged. So I think I'm swiveled the 180 the other way because of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And that is such a good point. And I don't think we've said it like very concretely. And I know you and Ian are reiterating the same point, but also everyone's journey is unique, right? Like what you're experiencing in the coach and what you're experiencing in your school is going to be different for every single person. And it's about your progress. It's not about perfection. And so I think that recognizing that it's about taking that step forward, having your aha moments, having your learning experiences that you can then apply in your personal context, in your specific school, that's most important. It's not putting you in a package or in a box or everything should look like this. It's just another thought I had. Ashley.
Yeah, so my biggest takeaway, like Becca said, the one-on-one coaching, mentoring has been incredibly beneficial, and creating a program that really identifies teachers' needs and creates intentional coaching opportunities. And we work together to really look at how to take, this K-12 coaching where there are so many different needs and really focus in our work to make it more intentional, more aligned with teacher needs. And developing, like we developed this coaching menu that we put out every month for teachers, giving them all different ways that they can connect with a coach, connect with PD, and then really working together on how to make that PD engaging, meaningful, motivating, and having that time to come. Like I come to meetings with Kim and say, okay, here's an idea, and this is the part I'm struggling with, and having that thought partner to talk it out, and then leaving feeling. I would often say in meetings, I would come in like a little unsure of where I even wanted to start. And by the end of the meeting, feeling so energized and excited to go do the work the next day.
Yay. Thank you. That is so wonderful. I really appreciate that. That is what I enjoy as well. Carly.
This is so hard because I have so many takeaways. And I think what everyone has said definitely resonates with me. But I think about the way that the coach is structured and the fact that every module you have the opportunity to learn and then go apply in your own personalized setting, and then go back and reflect on that application. So incredibly valuable. And I think in doing that process, letting go of the perfection, taking off the teacher hat and really being vulnerable to put on the student hat, in the discussion boards and the responses through the course, really just being honest and not trying to reflect on what you think the right answer is, but really personally, what was my learning? How have I seen, as a new coach, I felt like a first year teacher all over again. And so for me, one of the most valuable things was reflecting on those opportunities to apply strategies that I learned from the modules and noticing, wow, I didn't have that skill. I practiced it. I learned it. I'm growing. The messy is good. And it's not a straight line. And I just need to keep going with that.
Yes.
So tremendously valuable learning.
Thank you. Thank you all for those wonderful statements about the coach. And I'm so glad that you have each had enough of a unique experience that everybody said something different, but it all shows the same kind of learning environment that is personalized and unique and customized to you with that personal touch of that mentor interaction. Because I just had another conversation with somebody else. I just think the personal relationships, the personal conversation, the opportunity to reflect, the idea that it's about your learning and not about getting the right answer those are things that I want to see in all educational experiences. And when educational experiences aren't like that, I get very frustrated because I know that it is possible because we're doing it here. So to hear you all echo that is absolutely fabulous. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experiences. And before we go, I'll just have everybody share where, if anyone is listening and they want to get in touch with you, how can they find you? So like your Twitter profile is probably everyone probably has a Twitter profile or an Instagram account or a website. And if you don't have any online presence, that's also okay. But if you have a way for people to get in touch with you, if they're curious, if you could, and I'll just call on you really quick. Carly, how can they find you?
Sure. I've taken a bit of a break off Twitter, but I
Fair
am
enough.
there. I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember my handle. Okay. I think it's...
I will put it on the screen and in the show notes. It's okay.
Perfect. But I'm happy and by email. I don't know. I to be honest, I had to take a break from Twitter. It just got to be too much
I understand.
for a while. But I do love those kinds of conversations.
You never know. You never know. People might reach out to you and be curious about what's going on at your school. And so, got to give them an avenue. I'll put each of you on the spot real quick, and you might all say the same thing. And my answer will be the same as whatever contact you give me, I will put in the show notes. Ashley, do you have anything you want to reference right now?
Yeah, the best way to get in contact with me would be Instagram. And it's Life in Bloom Co. is the handle.
Perfect. Sharon?
I'm kind of like Carly. I'm taking a break off of most social media. I like things to come to me rather than me having to either go down the rabbit hole. And but I do have a Twitter handle. It's at @SBrownPeters.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll link that too. And Becca?
Okay.
I'm a newbie to Twitter, so I have a Twitter, but I'm not sure what my handle is off the top of my head. The best way or the easiest way is probably through Instagram, like Ashley. And it is bmorgs6615.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the show notes too. So everybody, I'm glad you're saying it. So if people are listening, they know to listen for that. But if people are watching, I'll have it on the screen and the show notes. Last but not least, Ian.
You can get me on Twitter at Ian G. Craig.
Fabulous. Thank you guys so much for your conversation, your time today. I really appreciate all of this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a lovely morning, day, evening, wherever it is you are in the world. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you are ready to develop your coaching practice over the next academic year, please join us for the next cohort of The Coach. Wherever you are in building a coaching culture in your school, the coach will give you the strategies, skills, and tools that you need to make coaching a success. This academic year-long online course and mentorship program will empower you to confidently apply instructional coaching strategies in any situation, from building a coaching program to having a coaching conversation to being a leader in your school community. Registration for our next global cohort opens on the 21st of February and closes on the 14th of March. We facilitate only one cohort each year so we can offer individualized support for each participant. Now is your chance to be part of a global cohort of passionate and engaged learners, to leverage 40 weeks of in-depth coaching content with practical challenges to build your coaching skills, and to reflect on your practice for the entire academic year with a mentor. Become a certified Eduro Learning instructional coach today. Head over to edurolearning.com/coach to find out more. Here at Eduro, we provide customized online professional learning for educators at the intersection of technology, coaching, and leadership. Our mission is to empower the relentless learner in you to embrace your inner leader and make a bigger impact in your school setting. Join our Coach Better Facebook group and connect with us on social media at Eduro Learning for more great resources at the intersection of technology, coaching, and leadership. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode, and we'll see you next time.